Have you ever noticed that the more someone pretends to be something, the more they reveal their dark and shadowed side? The greatest lie we tell isn't to others, it's to ourselves. The world is an invisible stage. People smile with sad eyes, talk without listening, post fake happiness, and believe that this is real life. Everyone tries to seem whole while falling apart in the silence of their room. In the silence that follows the end of the scene, when the curtains close, who remains inside? The character or you? Erving Goffman said that everyday life is a theater and that we are all actors. Every gesture, every word, every silence is part of a carefully rehearsed performance meant to make us accepted, loved, and understood. We create fronts, images that sustain the role we believe we must play, and the more the audience applauds, the more convinced the actor becomes of his role. Carl Gustav Jung called this mask the persona, the social face we show to the world. It's necessary to live in society, but it becomes dangerous when it replaces the authentic self. Because when the mask takes over, the face behind it begins to fade away. We start looking at ourselves in the mirror and seeing only the reflection that pleases, not what is real. And Friedrich Nietzsche warned, "Become who you are." But how can we do that when we no longer remember who we are without the gaze of others? Perhaps that's the true modern dilemma. Living, trying to seem whole, while inside, still searching to find oneself. And the question that remains, before anything else, is simple and devastating. Do we still know who we are when no one is watching? No one is born pretending. We learn that crying moves people, that showing anger pushes them away, that being different bothers them. So begins the invisible training, hiding what you feel, so you don't lose what you love. With learning, the fear of rejection becomes a memory, and life begins to flow. And the heart, wanting to be accepted, puts on a character, polite, productive, pleasant. The mask, at first, feels like shelter, until one day, it becomes a prison. From an early age, it's as if there's a silent list of what is allowed to feel. Anger, no. Sadness, even less. Better to smile and move on. And so, the perfect employee swallows what eats him inside. The nice friend hides behind humor, and the ideal child becomes an expert at disguising pain. No one warns you. But the price of pleasing is forgetting your own face. The world loves those who can perform, and we keep adapting, rehearsing phrases that sound right, postures that convey confidence, looks that say, "I'm fine," even when we're not. It's the family dinner where everyone smiles and no one says what they feel. It's the automatic good morning in the elevator, while inside, there's an old tiredness, begging to be heard. But there's one detail no one mentions. The more someone tries to seem perfect, the more afraid they are of being exposed. The body starts to give it away. The tone of voice shifts. The eyes lose their light. The soul grows small. Inside a performance too big to sustain. It's exhausting to sustain a version of yourself that doesn't breathe. And when we look in the mirror, we realize the reflection shows a stranger, one who looks like us, but no longer feels the same. And so, while everyone performs, few truly reveal themselves. Yet all it takes is one look, one that sees beyond the character, to awaken something forgotten. And in that moment, we realize maybe what sustains the mask isn't fear itself, but the reflection of the one who sees it. Masks aren't born alone. They need an audience. It's in the gaze of others that we learn who we're supposed to be. From an early age, someone tells us what's beautiful, what's right, what's appropriate, and without realizing it, we start to exist through reflection, trying to fit into the mirror the world offers. The problem is that this mirror lies. It shows only what pleases, and arrest what's true. We hide. Nietzsche said that human beings create truths to withstand chaos. Perhaps that's it. Every compliment, every approval, is a small anesthesia, confirming the illusion that we're on the right path. But deep inside, something asks, am I really this, or just performing to be loved? The danger is that, when the gaze of another becomes approval, we lose ourselves. Applause becomes an addiction, and silence a fear. It's curious how acceptance works. Like a funhouse mirror, it distorts and fascinates at the same time. The person feels seen, but not whole. And when the reflection shifts, when someone disapproves, criticizes, or turns away, the mask cracks. That's how insecurities are born, not from lack of worth, but from an excess of dependence on others' opinions. It's like living on borrowed air. But there's something even subtler. When we believe we are what others see, we begin to imitate our own image. We try to meet expectations, and the more convincing the performance, the farther we drift from the truth. It's the paradox. The more we seek acceptance, the less authentic we become, and the emptier we feel. The applause sounds loud, but the inner echo is silent. And when that reflection becomes the center of life, the cost appears. Because living through the gaze of others is like breathing through a mirror. It looks like air, but it's only an image. And that's when the body begins to expose the lie. Keeping a mask on seems simple until it starts to get heavy. A person wakes up, already putting on the role, the strong one, the confident one, the balanced one. But inside, everything is effort. It's like holding your breath while trying to look calm. The body can bear it for a while, but the soul begins to protest. Every forced smile, every automatic "I'm fine" is another brick pressing on the chest. And there comes a point when even silence gets tired. The more someone tries to look stable, the more they fear falling apart. It's the paradox of control. The actor must stay on stage, even when they want to cry backstage. And it's exhausting. Anxiety doesn't come from what's shown, but from what's hidden. Emotional fatigue is the price of forced coherence. Because living by appearances is a full-time job. No vacations, no rest, no applause that lasts long enough. Sometimes, the body reveals what the mind insists on denying. The tight chest, the insomnia, the irritation without reason, all of it is the soul trying to breathe. The mask protects, yes, but it also suffocates. And the more someone tries to hide their fragility, the more it reveals itself. Between the lines, in the avoiding gaze, the trembling hand, the cracking voice, the body speaks what the mask tries to silence, and emptiness appears, not as a whole, but as a mirror, reflecting the distance between what is shown and what is felt. It's a life that looks complete, but sounds hollow. Success, image, status, all lose color when truth isn't present. And the scariest thing is realizing that sometimes the audience doesn't even exist anymore. Only the habit of performing remains, until one day the disguise grows tired of itself. No character survives the weight of their own lie. And what we call a crisis may simply be this: the soul trying to break the role that no longer fits. There comes a moment when the disguise can no longer hold. It's not a rational decision, it's a silent collapse. The mask starts to crack in small gestures, in the lack of energy to smile, the urge to disappear, the tear that escapes without warning. It's the body begging to stop pretending. And when that happens, no performance can hold it back. What once was protection now becomes a prison, and the soul, tired of acting, begins to scream from within. Jung said that when the persona breaks, the shadow emerges, the side we've spent our lives trying to hide. It's that old fear, the resentment never spoken, the guilt left buried. It comes like an inner earthquake, shaking everything that once seemed stable. It's painful, yes, but it's real, because only those who fall into their own abyss understand what it truly means to start over, and it's within that chaos that authenticity is born. Sometimes the rupture comes as loss, a job that ends, a relationship that falls apart, a loneliness that can no longer be disguised. Everything that once served as a shield disappears, and the individual finds themselves naked before their own truth. It's a shock, as if life itself were saying, "Enough pretending." And though it feels like the end, it's the first contact with what has long been denied. Collapse doesn't destroy, it reveals. It's a confusing process. The mind tries to understand. The heart wants to run, but something inside whispers, "This is the way." And little by little, what looked like ruin begins to make sense. Because collapse is a form of cleansing. It removes what's false, what's imposed, what no longer serves, and what remains, though wounded, is true. The real face begins to appear among the shards of the old persona, and when the dust settles, something shifts. The mask is gone, fear goes quiet, and among the ruins, a forgotten face emerges. Not the idealized one, but the true one, the one that was there all along. After the mask falls, the world looks different, not because it changed, but because, for the first time, the eyes are clear. Silence no longer frightens so much, and solitude ceases to be a punishment. A new kind of peace arises, the kind that comes from no longer needing to impress anyone. Living without masks isn't about exposing yourself completely. It's simply breathing without the weight of pretending. It's looking at yourself with the same kindness you once sought in others. The persona, once understood, ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a bridge, something that connects the inner self to the world, without imprisoning either. The difference is that now there is choice. You can perform, yes, but intentionally. You can smile, but with truth. You can say, "I'm fine," and truly mean it. Awareness restores the power to be whole, even in fragments. That's when the role stops owning you and starts serving you. Freedom doesn't come as a scream, but as a sigh. It's a calm born from the exhaustion of hiding, and it brings a different kind of strength, quiet, serene, steady, because being true isn't about showing everything. It's about not pretending what you don't feel. It's admitting what hurts, but continuing to walk. It's understanding that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's humanity, and that no one is free until they can say, "Today, I'm tired. Curiously, the more one allows themselves to be real, the lighter their presence becomes. Relationships become simpler, conversations more sincere, emotions clearer. There's no need to maintain appearances, defend a persona, or prove worth. What remains is the essential, what endures when all masks fall. That's what authenticity is, living without fear of being seen, and without the need to hide. And when the gaze becomes clearer, something subtle is revealed. Masks never fully conceal. Even when they seem solid, they let fragments of truth escape. A gesture, a tone of voice, a flicker in the eyes. It's there, in those small cracks, that the human truly reveals itself. It's curious how what we try to hide always finds a way to show itself. The overly controlled smile, the avoiding eyes, the stiffened voice, everything gives it away. Masks are never perfect. They always let the truth slip through somewhere. Sometimes it's in silence that pain speaks the loudest. Other times it's in the excess, in the misplaced joke, the arrogance that betrays fear, the confidence that hides fragility. The body whispers what the ego tries to disguise. Some believe that lying is hiding, but deep down, every lie is a confession. When someone needs to look happy all the time, it reveals how much they fear emptiness. When someone loudly insists on being strong, it's because they feel on the verge of collapse. Nietzsche claimed that people lie because they cannot bear the truth about themselves. And perhaps that's the greatest irony. It's in the effort to deceive that truth becomes most visible. The disguise is a kind of inverted mirror. The more someone tries to shine, the more shadow lies behind it. And it doesn't take judgment to see it. Only attention, a gaze trained by empathy, sees what the other tries to hide. The restrained anger, the neediness disguised as independence, the fear hidden in control. Every gesture is a plea for care, disguised as self-sufficiency. But such perception requires calm, because seeing what the other reveals unintentionally isn't about pointing, it's about understanding. When someone is cold, they're usually freezing, not to feel pain. When they're distant, they may just be trying to survive their own disappointment. To see beyond the mask is to see humanity, the same that lives within us. And that changes everything. Little by little, you realize that understanding others is also a way of understanding yourself, because the masks that irritate you in others are often the same ones you've learned to wear. And when that recognition happens, something new is born. Not judgment, but empathy. With time, you begin to see differently. People stop being enigmas and start becoming mirrors. The arrogant, the cold, the controlling, all carry wounds while trying not to bleed in public. It's strange to realize that the more someone tries to appear untouchable, the more they're asking to be understood. Empathy is born from that recognition, understanding that harshness is only a disguise for pain, and that behind every persona, there's someone trying not to fall apart. Seeing beyond the masks changes the way we exist. Suddenly, conversations slow down, judgment softens, and listening deepens. Anger gives way to curiosity. What is this person trying to protect? And little by little, the world becomes less threatening. Because true understanding disarms. It silences the noise of the inner war, both yours and everyone else's. Empathy isn't forced kindness. It's emotional lucidity. It's knowing that no one is what they show all the time. Behind every defense, there's always an old fear, asking to be seen. It's the kind of gaze that doesn't need words to comfort. Sometimes, it's enough not to react, just to be there, present, human, whole. And the most beautiful part is realizing that the more you understand others, the closer you get to yourself. Because seeing the masks of others is recognizing your own. It's seeing yourself reflected in every gesture, every flaw, every attempt to hide what also hurts in you. The mirror of empathy doesn't show difference, it shows similarity. And perhaps this is the highest point of the journey, realizing that everyone is just trying to do their best with the pain they have, that no one deceives out of malice, lies for pleasure, or hides out of selfishness, but out of fear. And when we understand that, the mask of the entire world begins to fall. In the end, every reflection only has value when it becomes action. So, where to begin? Stop performing when no one is watching. Observe your gestures, your automatic reactions, the small lies you tell, just to avoid displeasing others. Speak less and listen more. Learn to be alone without feeling that someone is missing. And little by little, start trading performance for presence. Life is a stage, but meaning lives behind the scenes. The show ends when you stop performing and start existing. And perhaps the greatest courage is to be authentic. In a world that rewards performance, the masks fall, but the face that emerges is the one that has always been there, waiting to be seen. If you feel like continuing this journey, you'll find complementary materials in the pinned comments, reflections and readings that go deeper for those who truly wish to understand themselves. Subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and tell me in the comments, what mask do you fear removing the most, and what do you think you'd find beneath it? Because, in the end, no one is freed by hiding. Only those who have the courage to see themselves truly find who they are.